So here I am today again in Minecraft EDU, and today we're going to be doing something related to the story that we're reading, Escape from Mr. Lemoncello's Library. So today we're going to actually design a house that a character from Escape from Mr. Lemoncello's Library would like to live in. So basically you're using what you know from the story to create your own house and your own building. So let's go ahead and check out this house first. So this is from Alice's Adventure in Wonderland. And so if you haven't read the book, you might have hopefully seen the movie. But Alice in Wonderland, she meets the Queen of Hearts. So there's a big heart on the top of that. Now let's go in here. And Alice also meets a caterpillar at the beginning of the story. Over here there's a white rabbit, because that's a big character in the story as well, and kind of her, almost like her companion. Mushrooms play a big part in that story. So there's a mushroom over here. Here's two playing cards. So basically this tells us a lot about the story, but also about what happened from Alice's point of view. And it shows us just a little bit about kind of her personality. So over here we have an empty house. And so what we're going to do is we're going to make a house that Mr. Lemoncello himself would love to live in. So that's who I'm picking as a character. You can pick whoever you want. But it should be pretty fun, especially because he's kind of a zany, weird character, so his house should be kind of weird and crazy too, like him, I think. Alright, so let's go ahead and name this house, and we're going to name it Mr. Lemoncellos. Lemoncellos. Oh, I cannot type today. Mr. Lemoncello's house. There we go. And when we start out, it's completely blank, except for a few little windows right here and a crazy shit back here for some reason. Out of here. Alright, so what should we do first? So let's take a look at the story and kind of get a few clues about what we know about Mr. Lemoncello. Things he likes, things he doesn't like, stuff that's important to him. So let's go back in the story and just kind of skim through the chapters we've read so far. So here we are back in the book. And one thing that I really like about using digital books from the library, I use the app Libby, but there's other ways you can do it too. But one of the best things about it is that you can search the book instead of having to look with your eyes through every single page. Most digital books have a search feature. So here I'm clicking the magnifying glass, and if I go up here, I can search anything in the book, but I'm going to search Mr. Lemoncello. And what you see is it'll tell you what chapter or what part of the book it's in, and it gives you a list of all these different places where Mr. Lemoncello's name is mentioned. So let's go down. Here's chapter 1. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to write these down on a piece of paper, so I remember all these things we've learned about Mr. Lemoncello so far. So let's see what the first one is right here. We can click on it. Let's see if it tells us stuff about it. Read it. When we read it, down into the basement, and he dug up one of his all-time favorites, Mr. Lemoncello's outdoor scavenger hunt. It had been a huge hit for him, the master game maker. So he's a master game maker, loved his games. He must be really good at it. Oh, I remember this. His mom wrote to Mr. Lemoncello, Mike's mom did, or Kyle's mom did, to get them a new pack of cards, and they actually sent them after their cards for a game got worn out. So I'd say that means Mr. Lemoncello not only loves his games, but he's pretty nice. Seems like he has a nice company, that they would just give them some new cards. Oh look, Mr. Lemoncello's catapulting critters games are all sorts of wacky jokes. I think we've seen a lot of different places that he's wacky in it. I'm going to write wacky down. I guess I should probably write jokes down too. He likes jokes. What else? Amazing awesome for Mr. Lemoncello. A game wasn't a game if it wasn't a little goofy. Alright, let's add goofy to what we know about Mr. Lemoncello. Oh, it's Mr. Lemoncello, gasped Kyle. Let's see what this says. What's he doing here? It was just announced. This evening, Mr. Luigi Limoncello himself will be the final judge. Of what? Your library essays. I remember that happening. Alright, let's go back to the search button. Let's see. Alright, let's go to chapter 5. There was lots of information about him in chapter 5. You see when you use a search feature, this is on CleveNet or Libby is the same. Can you imagine how awesome the new library is going to be if Mr. Lemoncello and his Imagine Factory guys had anything to do with it? They highlight what you're looking for in it. So is there anything else about Mr. Lemoncello? Oh, here we go. Mr. Lemoncello is the final judge. Oh, he's a bazillionaire, so he's very wealthy. He has a lot of money from selling all of his amazing games. Oh, here's a story about his early life. We did some primary source research on Mr. Lemoncello and his connection to Alexandriaville. What'd you find out? Asked Kyle. First off, said Miguel, he was born here. So let's put that he was born in Alexandriaville. I don't know if that'll help us make his house for his character, but you never know. It could come in handy. He had 9 brothers and sisters. Whoa. 9 brothers and sisters. So if we use a little bit of inferencing there, if you have 9 brothers and sisters, it's probably pretty busy in your house. Pretty loud, pretty crazy. All of them cramped into a tiny apartment with only 1 bathroom over in Little Italy. Whew. So Mr. Lemoncello, he probably likes his space, doesn't he? Since he had to grow up with tons of brothers and sisters. So I'm going to say he likes his space. He loved the old public library down on Market Street. He used to go there when he was a kid and needed a quiet place to think and do his ideas. So he likes having a quiet space to think. He loves a library. And he liked doodling. So I'm going to say he probably likes art. Either making art, but he might also like looking at art. And get this, said Miguel eagerly, Mrs. Tobin, the library back then, took an interest in little Luigi, even though he was just, a kid like us. She kept the library open late some nights and let him borrow junk from her desk or her purse, thimbles and thumbtacks and glue bottles, even red Barbie doll boots. Stuff he used for games, pieces so he could map out his first ideas on a library table. So when I think about him using all those different things, I think he's probably a really creative person. Like, who would think of using a red Barbie shoe for a game? Definitely not me. Let's scan through. We know that he's wealthy, a bazillionaire. Alright, let's go back to the search button and see what else we can find outside this chapter. Alright, so we're in chapter 5. Let's go in chapter 6. He remembered how his mother had written to Mr. Lemoncello's Imagination Factory. He sent the email. More about Mr. Lemoncello's library. Oh, here's when we first see him in chapter 8. Over on the side of the stage, a shoe that looked like a peeled open banana appeared from behind a curtain. When it landed, the shoe burp squeaked. As a second banana shoe burp squeaked onto the floor, Kyle looked up and there he was, Mr. Lemoncello. He had loose and flappy limbs and was dressed in a 3-piece black suit with a bright red tie. His black, broad-brimmed hat was cocked at a crooked angle atop his curly white hair. Kyle was so close he could see a sly twinkle sparkling in Mr. Lemoncello's coal-black eyes. Treading very carefully, Mr. Lemoncello walked towards the podium. The burp squeaks in his shoes seemed to change pitch depending on how hard he landed on his heels. He had a couple of little jig steps, a quick hop, and a stutter step skip, and yes, his shoes were squeaking out a song. Pop goes the weasel. I think that just gives us some more information about how silly Mr. Lemoncello is. Alright, I think we have enough information so far about him that we're ready to go and build his house. So let's go check that out. Alright, so here we are back at Mr. Limoncello's house, and let's go ahead and start building this house into something that Mr. Lemoncello would love. So, one of the main things I think we got from the story is that Mr. Lemoncello is weird and wacky and goofy and just maybe a little bit crazy. So right now, this house looks kind of boring. So I'm going to make it look a little bit wackier by making it be really crazy colors. Like he wore that red tie and the banana shoes. Let's go ahead and make this house look yellow like a banana, just like his shoes were in the story, since he's weird and wacky. So I'm gonna get some yellow glass for the windows and fill these in. Go around to the back. Do these ones too. Alright, so we got some yellow windows. Now let's take care of the yellow outside. And let's see here. Alright, I'm gonna use yellow concrete, I believe. There we go. And bananas aren't all yellow. They can have brown spots, and you can even have a black stem. So let's go in here with some yellow. A little banana-ish. Alright, now that we've done some decoration on the outside, let's go ahead and start on the inside. So, he's weird and wacky, we know that, but what else did we learn about him? He really likes to have a quiet space to work, and he also really loves the library, so maybe a book kind of theme in here would work out well. Let's go ahead and do the floor first. So, he's weird and wacky, he loves libraries, he likes a quiet place. Maybe let's just give him some weird and wacky carpet, but still kind of quiet library-like in here. Alright. Alright, so he loves books, so let's really fill this place up. Make this his own personal library. Alright, so I think we have our library theme looking pretty good in here. But he said he likes a quiet place to work, right? He always needed a quiet place to work for his ideas. So I think we need some furniture in here that he could sit down and use to work on all of his amazing games. So let's go ahead and build some nice little furniture. I'm gonna get one of these to make a little table. Maybe over here. Use a few fence posts and then let's put some carpet on top so we can choose the color. Let's try yellow to go with our banana theme. Alright, so here we have a nice little banana table. Now let's make him a little seat that he could sit at. Yellow and brown to go with our banana table. There's a seat so he can work. I think I'm gonna add some more books over here. You can never have too many books in a library. And what else did our clues from the story tell us about Mr. Lemoncello? We know he's goofy, he loves games, he likes to sit down and work. It also said he went to the library to doodle. Whoa. So maybe we can put some art in here for Mr. Lemoncello. Let's go ahead and grab some paintings to put up around the room. Alright, there's some nice art to inspire his games and doodles. Ooh. Don't want to repeat right there. There we go. Whoa. Alright. Looking pretty good. Let's look at the list again. What else was it that Mr. Lemoncello really liked? Quiet space to think, he loves a library, creative, doodling, he's very wealthy. Let's get some ideas. Let's look around. What would go good in this room? Maybe some books for him to draw in and write down, and a book and quill for him to write down his notes. Maybe a chest to keep all of that in. There we go. And maybe some gold since he's super wealthy. Alright, let's put the chest somewhere. Let's put it over here. Oop. And let's give him some gold and some more books and a book and quill so he can use it to write. And some more gold since this said he was very wealthy. So there we have it. A place where Mr. Lemoncello would love to go and work on his games. So I hope you go ahead and try this on your own in a creative mode. Just build a nice normal house and pick a character from the story that will that you can make a awesome house for using some clues from the story. It'll be really fun if you left off the nameplate, just left it blank, and then had somebody try to guess who you were talking about. Alright, and there's Mr. Limoncello's house. See you next time.
Hello everyone, my name is Jason Levy and I'm the music teacher from Campus International School. Today we're going to be learning a song from England called Ah Poor Bird. And we're also going to use a melody that we learned a few weeks ago in a different lesson. So I hope everybody brought their singing voice because I'm sure ready to sing. So let's go! So today's lesson, Ah Poor Bird, was inspired by a walk I went on yesterday. So yesterday I came across this nest, and inside the nest were these bright blue bird eggs, and it really made me think of this song. So I'm going to sing it the first time through so you can get a feel for what it sounds like. Ah, poor bird, take thy flight far above the sorrow of this sad night. Ah, poor bird, as you fly, can you see the dream of tomorrow's sky? So I'm going to sing a line first, and you're going to echo after me. Ah, poor bird, ah, poor bird, take thy flight, take thy flight, far above the sorrow, far above the sorrow of this sad night, of this sad night. So now I'm going to sing 2 lines and you're going to echo after me. Ah, poor bird, take thy flight. Ah, poor bird, take thy flight. Excellent job. Far above the sorrow of this sad night, far above the sorrow of this sad night. Great job. So now we're going to take all 4 lines and sing them together. 1, 2, here we go. Ah, poor bird, take thy flight, far above the sorrow of this sad night. You guys are doing great. So now the next part of the song is all of the exact same notes, it's just slightly different words. So just listen to the words again, and I think you'll be able to pick it up quickly. Ah, poor bird, as you fly, can you see the dream of tomorrow's sky? So let's try that one together, and the words will be underneath, so we can try that one out. 1, 2, here we go. Ah, poor bird, as you fly, can you see the dream of tomorrow's sky? Now let's go back to the beginning and we'll sing it all together. 1, 2, here we go. Ah, poor bird, take thy flight, far above the sorrow of this sad night. Ah, poor bird, as you fly, can you see the dream of tomorrow's sky? Great job. Now earlier I mentioned we were going to look back at a song that we learned a few weeks ago, and you might remember the song that we learned that was all about love. So here's how it goes, just in case you forgot. Love, 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 mankind, this is everyone's call. Love your neighbor as yourself, for love is all. So the neat thing about the Ah Poor Bird song is that you can actually sing it at the exact same time as our love song. And this is called a partner song. A partner song is when you take 2 different melodies and you sing them at the exact same time, overlapping one another. Sometimes people might call this a mashup. So a partner song is when you have 2 songs, 2 different melodies that are sung at the exact same time, overlapping each other. So this last time through, we're going to sing the Ah Poor Bird song first, then we're going to go directly into the love song, and then the third time, we're going to do them together. And you can sing the Ah Poor Bird, and on a video, you'll also see me doing the love song. So let's try it together. 1, 2, here we go. Ah, poor bird, take thy flight far above the sun. at night. Ah, poor bird, as you fly, can you see the dream of tomorrow's sky? Love, 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 mankind, this is everyone's call. Love your neighbor as yourself, for love is all. Love, 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 mankind, this is everyone's call. Love your neighbor as yourself, for love is all. Love, 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 mankind, this is everyone's call. Love your neighbor as yourself, for love is I. Great job. You were able to sing a partner song. Now remember, a partner song is when you have two different melodies that are sung at the exact same time and they're overlapping each other. So remember, you can share a little bit of love by singing a little bit every day. And remember, I'm Jason Levy, the music teacher from Campus International School, and I can't wait to make music with you again. See you next time. Bye.
Sing, 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 oh, I Since so many of us are trying to stay healthy and safe during this time that we have a pandemic, I thought I'd show you my favorite way to get library books. And because I can't go to the actual library, I use an app called Libby. And Libby you can download on almost anything. And if you don't have access to some sort of tablet or a phone or even a PC, you can also use another app called Overdrive. But Libby is super easy to use. So Libby is a free app, completely free, where you can borrow ebooks and digital audiobooks from your library. Super useful. So I'm going to show you how to do that today and how to use Libby. So to download it, all you have to do is look it up on your device, and it's called Libby by Overdrive, and this is what the icon should look like. Once you've installed it, you go ahead and open it up, and I'll show you how to sign in. And I'll go ahead and show you how to sign in. So this is the first thing you're going to see. It says, welcome, thousands of public libraries offer ebooks and audiobooks for free in Libby. Let me ask you a few questions to guide you to your library. First question, do you have a library card? Now, hopefully you already have one. If you don't, you can click not yet, and it will guide you through getting a library card. Some library branches and libraries can get you a library card online. It will help you search for what library is your branch, and you can figure that out pretty quickly. But hopefully someone in your house already has a library card and you can use that. So we're going to say yes. This one you don't need unless you've already been using this app. So let's take a look at these two. It says otherwise you can look up your library by name or location. And so you want to search for your library. So we're going to go ahead and put in Cleveland, since that's where we live. And let's make sure we're getting the right one. You see, this one says Cleveland Park, but it's actually in Washington. This one's in Las Vegas, Nevada. And here we go, CleveNet, Cleveland, Ohio. So we're going to click that one. Now, if you don't have a library card, you can try using your phone number and see if that is able to hook you up to your library card. If you can't find it, but you know you have one. You can also add your library card into the account. So we're going to go ahead and enter our library card numbers. So I'm going to do this really quick. Your library card number is going to be a whole bunch of numbers. Well, something like this. Obviously, that's not a real library card number. Your PIN is often the last 4 digits of your phone number. And if you click Here's Some Help, it will actually take you to some instructions, particularly for Cleveland. And it says your password is a 4-digit number extracted from a field in your library records. In most cases, it is the last 4 digits of the phone number in your library record. Other things it can be is the month and day of your birth, or remember this is for whoever's card it is. So you want to try that. If you can't figure it out, you can go ahead and try logging into CleveNet on a computer, or I'm sure if you call the library, they could help you as well. So then you put in your PIN number, which you know what it is, and then you'll be able to sign in. Once you're in, you're going to see a whole bunch of books, and there's just tons of options pop up. So I'm going to go through a few of these. They can look slightly different on different apps. Right now I'm on a Windows PC, but my app on my phone looks very similar. So you can search just whatever you want. You know you want a specific book or you want a specific author, you can search that person in particular, like this. So let me see if there's any Dr. Seuss out there. Yes, and look, there are tons of them. So I searched just exactly for that book. Here we have Green Eggs and Ham, The Cat in the Hat, The Lorax. And if you look closely, you'll see there's little ratings above them. Just like on anything else, how many people rated them? 2.8 thousand people rated this, and it has about 4.5 stars. You can borrow it, and you can read a sample. So if you want to check if you think you're going to like a book, reading a sample is a really easy way to do that. Once you click borrow, here's what it looks like next. It'll show you your library card, and you can click borrow. So once you're into the book, you'll see a screen come up a lot like this, and there's tons of different options here. So by clicking or tapping, you can move through the book and read it. You can also drag to go really fast to a particular chapter or page that you want. If you look up here, you can actually search for different things within the book, which is super useful. So let's try Sam. See what we get. A lot of things, because we know that Sam's repeated a lot in this book. Get that away. You can also change a lot of different things, like the darkness and brightness. You can add bookmarks like this to remember where spot you were at, and you'll see you can find the bookmark really easily down below. So it's very easy to use and super fun. Now, if you want a different book, there's a lot of different ways that you can search. Once you're back at the main page, when you click library, you can find all sorts of different ways to look for books. One of my favorite ways, besides just searching for things that I know I want, is using the Explore feature. So when you click Explore, you can click Kids, and there are tons of different books that they know you'll like. And you can see, if you look closely, that some of them say audio on the bottom. That means that they're a book that will be read out loud to you, which is really fun. There's also books that are graphic novels or comics, like Amulet. So there's tons of stuff on this. Now, sometimes when you click on one, let's try this one. Sometimes when you click on one, it will say put on hold, and that just means that, here's one. That just means that there are lots of people in line waiting for this book. So if you want to get this book soon, place a hold on it, and it will get it to you as soon as the people in front of you are done reading it. All right, and you can have a lot of things on hold at one time. If you look down here, you can see all the Diary of Wimpy Kids, and this one I would have to put on hold unless I want to listen to it as an audiobook. See? Lots of comic books and graphic novels, tons of different books. Again, if you see the calendar thing, the little icon that looks like a calendar, that means you're gonna have to put it on hold. So if you're interested in reading something right now and don't want to wait, just look past those symbols or put those ones on hold while you're going through, and check out the ones that look like a plus sign. Alright, and that's about all there is to Libby. I hope you're able to get in and read a bunch of books. Today we're reading the next few chapters in Escape from Mr. Limoncello's library. So at this point in the story, the kids are all in the library and they're competing for different things throughout the night through the lock-in at the library. If you remember at the end of chapter 13, that mean teacher's pet kid won the game against Kyle, our main character. So they have a new challenge right now, and him and Akemi are about to work on it. How about we work together, said Akemi when she sat down at Kyle's table. Kyle couldn't take his eyes off Sierra Russell. She had drifted up about 25 feet and was leaning against the railings of her floating platform, completely lost in a new book. If you remember from the last chapter, Sierra Russell was one of the first person to use these flying platform things to go and search for a book on a really tall shelf. Hello, Earth to Kyle. Do you want somebody else to get first dibs on the Electronic Learning Center? No. Then focus. Okay, so how do we use our wits and the library to find dessert? Akimi nodded toward Miguel, whose fingers were dancing across the screen of his desktop's tablet computer. I think he's doing a search in the card catalog, whispered Akimi. Why? It's how you find stuff in a library, Kyle. I know that, but we're not looking for books about dessert. We need to find actual food. Andrew Peckelman stood up from his desk and sprinted up a wrought iron spiral staircase leading to the second floor. 2 seconds later, Charles Chiltington was sprinting up the staircase behind him. All the other players soon followed. Everybody was headed to the second floor and the Dewey Decimal rooms. Miguel finally popped up from his desk and made a mad dash for the nearest staircase. It's gotta be up in the 600, you guys, he called out to Kyle and Akimi. Thanks, said Kyle, but he still didn't budge from his seat. I guess the 600 is the Dewey Decimal category where you should find books about desserts, said Akimi. Maybe we should... Wait a second, said Kyle. Kyle, in case you haven't noticed, you, me, and glider girl Sierra are the only ones still on this floor. And Sierra isn't really on the floor because she's floating. Hang on, Akimi, I have an idea. Kyle pulled out his floor plan. Dessert is probably hiding in plain sight, just like the bonus codes in Squirrel Squad. Follow me. Where to? The Book Nook Cafe, the one room in the library where, according to what Dr. Zinchenko told us back at the hotel, food and drinks are actually allowed. They strolled into the cozy cafe. Woohoo! Shouted Akimi. The walls were decorated with shelves of cookbooks, but several tables were loaded down with trays of cookies, cakes, ice cream, and fruit. That's why the curtains were closed behind the windows into the rotunda, said Akimi, so we couldn't see all this food. Way to go, Kyle. Kyle did his best imitation of Charles Chiltington. I'm a Keeley, Akimi. We never lose. Except, of course, when we don't win. After everyone had dessert, Kyle and Akimi were the first ones allowed to enter the Electronic Learning Center. Kyle flew the space shuttle, making an excellent landing on Mars before crashing into one of Saturn's moons. Akimi rode a horse with Paul Revere. Then Kyle learned how to drive a stick-shift stock car on the Talladega racetrack, while Akimi climbed into a tiny submarine to swim with sharks, dolphins, and sea turtles, all of which were projected on the glass walls of her undersea simulator. All the educational video games had 3D visuals, digital surround sound, and something new that Mr. Lemoncello was developing for his video games, smell-o-vision. When you sacked Rome with the Visigoths, you could smell the smoky scent of the burning city, as well as the barbarians' B.O. After an hour, Dr. Zinchenko ushered everybody else into the Electronic Learning Center. They'd been watching George Washington debate George W. Bush. Both were audio animatronic dummies in the town square at the center of the 900s room. At 10 p.m., they all tromped into the IMAX theater, also on the 3rd floor, to see a jukebox concert. 3D images of the world's best musicians, living and dead, performed their hits live. The best part was Mozart jamming with Metallica. Finally, around 3 in the morning, Clarence and his twin brother Clement came to escort the kids to their sleeping quarters. The boys would roll out their sleeping bags in the children's room just off the rotunda. The girls would be upstairs on the 3rd floor in the boardroom. Charles Chiltington would be luxuriating all alone in Mr. Lemoncello's private suite. Exhausted from the excitement of the day and crashing after eating way too much sugar, Kyle slept like a baby. He only woke up because he heard music. Loud, blaring music. The theme song from the boxing movie Rocky, his brother Mike's favorite. What's that? He mumbled, crawling out of his sleeping bag. Kyle glanced at his watch. It was 11 a.m. He figured the library lock-in was officially over and this was the group's wake-up call. The music kept blaring. This is how they wake up astronauts, groaned Miguel. Turn it off, moaned Andrew Peckelman. Kyle slipped on his jeans and sneakers and staggered out into the giant reading room. Dr. Zinchenko? His voice echoed off the dome. No answer. Clarence? Clement? Nothing. The rocky music got louder. Akimi leaned in from the third-floor balcony. What's going on down there? I think they're trying to wake up astronauts, said Kyle. On the moon! He made his way to the front door and reached for the handle. It wouldn't budge. He jiggled it. Nothing. He jiggled harder. Still nothing. Kyle realized that the library lock-in might be over, but they were still locked in the library. Chapter 15. Everybody take your seats, Dr. Zinchenko said to the parents gathered in a conference room at the Parker House Hotel. When do our kids come home? Asked one of the mothers. Rose has soccer at 2, said another. The librarian nodded. Mr. Lemoncello will... Just then, an accordion panel door at the far end of the room flew open, revealing the eccentric billionaire dressed in a bright purple tracksuit and a plumed pirate hat. He was eating a slice of 7-layer birthday cake. Good morning, or as they're currently saying in Reykjavik, Gott sjö degi, which means good afternoon. I'm not sure that's how you pronounce it. Because there is a 4-hour time difference between Ohio and Iceland, a fact I learned from spinning a globe in my local library. Mr. Lemoncello, his banana shoes burp squeaking, stepped out of a room filled with dozens of black and white television monitors, the kind security guards watch at their workstations. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us on this grand and auspicious day. Today I'm pleased to announce the most marvelously stupendous game ever created, Escape from Mr. Lemoncello's library. The entire library will be the game board. Your children will be the game pieces. The winner will become famous all over the world. How? Asked one of the fathers. By starring in all of my commercials this holiday season. TV, radio, print, billboards, cardboard cutouts in toy stores, his or her face will be everywhere. Mrs. Daly raised her hand. Will they get paid? Oh yes. In fact, you'll probably want to call me the giver. And what exactly does Haley have to do to win? Escape from the library. I thought the game's title more or less gave that bit away. Mr. Lemoncello tapped a button in his pirate hat and an animated version of the library's floor plan was instantly displayed on the conference room's plasma screen TVs. Whoever's the first to use what they find in the library to find their way out of the library will be crowned the winner. Now then, the children cannot use the front door or the fire exits or set off any alarms. They cannot go out the way they went in. They can only use their wits, cunning, and intelligence to decipher clues and solve riddles that will eventually lead them to the location of the library's super secret alternate exit. And, ladies and gentlemen, I assure you, such an alternate exit does indeed exist. The parents around the table started buzzing with excitement. Participation, of course, will be purely optional and voluntary, said Mr. Lemoncello, clasping his hands behind his back and stalking around the room. Several parents pulled out cell phones. And please do not attempt to phone, email, text, fax, or send smoke signals to your children, encouraging them to enter the competition. We have blocked all communication into and out of the library. Only those who truly wish to stay and play shall stay and play. Anyone who chooses to leave the library will go home with lovely parting gifts and a souvenir pirate hat very similar to mine. They'll also be invited to my birthday party tomorrow afternoon. He held up his crumb-filled plate. I've been sampling potential cake candidates for breakfast. Mrs. Keegan crossed her arms over her chest. Will this game be dangerous? No, said Mr. Lemoncello. Your children will be under constant video surveillance by security personnel in the library's control center. Dr. Zinchenko and I will also be monitoring their progress here in my private video viewing suite. Should anything go wrong, we have paramedics, firefighters, and a team of former Navy SEALs, each with the heart of a samurai, standing by to swoop in and rescue your children. It'll be like the Hunger Games, but with lots of food and no bows or arrows. Why not just have the kids play one of your other games? A parent suggested. Why all this fuss? Because, my dear friends, these 12 children have lived their entire lives without a public library. As a result, they have no idea how extraordinarily useful, helpful, and funful, a word I recently invented, a library can be. This is their chance to discover that a library is more than a collection of dusty old books. It is a place to learn, explore, and grow. Mr. Lemoncello, I think what you're doing is fantastic, said one of the mothers. Thank you, said Mr. Lemoncello, bowing and clicking his heels, which made them bruck like a chicken. Bruck. If any of you would like to check up on your children, announced Dr. Zinchenko, please join us in the adjoining room. Oh, they're a lot of fun to watch, said Mr. Lemoncello. However, Mr. and Mrs. Keeley, I'm afraid your son Kyle does not enjoy the theme song from Rocky quite as much as I do. Chapter 16. Rocky had done its job. Kyle, and everybody else locked inside the library, was definitely awake. Even Charles Chiltington had come down to the private rotunda reading room from Mr. Lemoncello's private suite. The only essay writer not with this group was Sierra Russell, who, Kyle figured, was off looking for another book to read. We're still locked in, squealed Haley Daly. This is so lame, added Sean Keegan. It's like 11:30. I've got things to do, places to be. Look, you guys, said Kyle. They'll probably open the front door right after we eat or something. Well, where's that ridiculous librarian, said Charles Chiltington, who was never very nice when there were any adults in the room. Yeah, said Rose Vermette. I can't stay in here all day. I have a soccer game at 2. And dude, said Sean Keegan, I have a life. Do you children require assistance? Said a soft, motherly voice. It was the semi-transparent holographic image of Mrs. Tobin, the librarian from the 1960s. She was hovering a few inches off the ground in front of the center desk. Yes, said Kayla Corson. How do we get out of here? The librarian blinked, the way a secondhand calculator, the one your oldest brother dropped on the floor 1 billion times, does when it's figuring out a square root. I'm sorry, said the robotic librarian. I have not been provided with the answer to that question. Will we be doing brunch here this morning? Chiltington asked politely. I'm not hungry, but some of my chums sure are. After all, it is 11:30. The kitchen staff recently placed fresh food in the Book Nook Cafe. Thank you, Mrs. Tobin, said Chiltington. Would you like anything? A bowl of oatmeal, perhaps? No, thank you, Charles. I'm a hologram. I do not eat food. I guess that's how you stay so super skinny. Kyle shook his head. The smarmy guy was oilier than a soggy sack of fries. He was even sucking up to a hologram. Chiltington and the others traipsed off to have breakfast, but Kyle and Akemi stayed with the holographic librarian. I have a question, said Kyle. I'm listening. Is the library lock-in over? Are we supposed to go home now? Mr. Lemoncello will be addressing that issue shortly. Okay, thanks, Mrs. Tobin. You are welcome, Kyle. After the librarian faded to a flicker, Akemi said, By the way, Kyle, before we leave, you need to check out that room I slept in last night. The board room? Yeah, they call it that because, guess what? It's filled with board games. All Lemoncellos? Nuh-uh, stuff from the other companies. Some of it goes way back to the 1890s. I think it's Mr. Lemoncello's personal collection. It's like a museum up there. Kyle's eyes went wide. You hungry, he asked. Not really. We ate so much last night. You think we have time to check out this game museum? Follow me. The two friends bounded up a spiral staircase to the second floor, where they found another set of steps to take them up to the third. When he entered the boardroom, Kyle was blown away. Wow! The walls were lined with bookcases filled with antique games, tin toys, and card games. This is incredible. I guess, said Akemi, if, you like games. Kyle smiled, which, I do. They spent several quiet minutes wandering around the room, taking in all the wacky games that people used to play. There was one display case featuring 8 games with amazingly illustrated box tops. A tiny spotlight illuminated each one. Wonder what's so special about these games, said Kyle. Maybe those were Mr. Lemoncello's favorites when he was a kid. Maybe, but the slogan etched into the glass case confused Kyle. Luigi Lemoncello, the first and last word in games. But these aren't Lemoncello games, he mumbled. The first spotlighted game in the case was Howdy Doody's TV game. After that came Husker Du? You don't say. Like Mines, Fun City, Big Six sports games, Get the Message, and Rough and Ready. It's a puzzle, said Kyle with a grin. I thought they were games. They are, but if you string together the first or last word of each title, he tapped the glass in front of the first box on the bottom shelf. You get the message. Really? Said Akemi, sounding extremely skeptical. You sure it's not just a bunch of junk somebody picked up for like 50 cents at a yard sale? Positive. Kyle pointed to each box top as he cracked the code. Howdy, do you like fun games? Get ready. Miguel Fernandez barged into the boardroom. Here you are! We need you guys in the Electronic Learning Center. Now. Why? Charles Chiltington wolfed down his breakfast, then raced up here to finish the game he started last night so he can enter his name as the first high scorer. So? The game he's playing is all about medieval castles and dungeons. This time Akimi said it. So? He's escaping through the sewers. The game has smell-o-vision. You ever smell a medieval sewer? Trust me, it is foul and disgusting. The three of them dashed up the hall and entered the stinky room where Charles was sitting in a vibrating pedestal chair, thumbing his controller. As his avatar sloshed through a sewer pipe, the subwoofer spilled into his seat, made every squish and splat rumble across the floor. Whoa, said Kyle. Knock it off, Charles. You're pumping out total tear gas. Because I'm in the sewers underneath the horse stables. It's the secret way out of the castle. I'm going to win another game. That's 2 for me, Keely. How many for you? Yo, said Miguel. This room is 2 stories above the cafe. The ductwork is connected. What's your point? You're making everybody's food downstairs smell like horse manure. Who cares? I'm winning. Charles' chair went flump again. But this time Kyle smelled pine trees? Like one of those evergreen air fresheners people hung inside their cars. Aw, this stupid thing is broken. Charles jumped out of the chair and reared back to kick it. I wouldn't do that if I were you, said Kyle. Why not? Because there's a security camera over there, and it's aimed right at you. What? Where? See the blinking red light? Suddenly, an image of Kyle pointing up at the camera lens appeared on every video screen in the Electronic Learning Center. Until he was replaced by Mr. Lemoncello.